Morning, everyone. I'm Jeanette Mejias, co-director of the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub, and I'm honored to welcome you to this important conversation, Father Side Chat. At the NJFE Hub, we believe in the power of family engagement to shape a child's success. While discussions often focus on mothers, studies show that when fathers are actively involved, children experience greater academic achievement, stronger social emotional development, and increased confidence. This father side chat is designed to highlight those contributions and explore the real experiences, challenges, and opportunities for fathers to engage, lead, and make a lasting impact. Leading today's conversation is Senator Wimberly, our moderator, who will guide discussions with incredible panel of fathers and father figures. Together, they'll dive into how we can break barriers, foster engagement, and strengthen family school partnerships. Some housekeeping notes. Since we're in a virtual setting, there are a few ways to engage. Your microphones are automatically muted, but we encourage questions in the chat. Feel free to drop your thoughts, raise your hand, and we'll do our best to address them. Let us know who's in the room. We want to know who is here with us. So please type your name and role in the chat so we can connect with you. And reactions matter. If something resonates with you, use the emoji reactions to let us know. We really appreciate the engagement. Thank you for being part of this critical conversation. And now over to Lanisha.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Lanisha Mako Ridley. I am the co-project director for the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub. I'm so happy to be here this morning for our Father Side Chat. This is especially important to me as I am a single mom of a little boy named Brandon, and I want to see what resources are out there for him as he grows and goes through life in need of a father figure. And now I'll turn it over to Kim.
Thank you, Lanisha. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kim Rivers, and I am the training coordinator for our Family Engagement Hub. Thank you for joining us. I feel as if I live the benefits of father engagement because my husband has been always super involved, and I know how difficult it is when we are juggling work and we're juggling home, and I've got 3 kids, one of which is special needs. So having that engagement and supporting and encouraging fathers to be present at the table, I think it's critical for all of us. And now I'm going to pass it over to Tara.
Thanks, Kim. Hi, everyone. I'm Tara Semenik. I am the Southern Regional Family Engagement Specialist, and father engagement is really important to my family. We're always looking for ways to communicate together and encourage my children's father to be engaged in school activities, in home activities, and sports around. So I think it's very important to have his participation to make sure that we're having well-rounded family events together. I'm going to pass it to Jamie.
Thank you, Tara. Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie Betances. I am the Central Regional Family Engagement Specialist for the Hub. Fathers are super important. They're an integral part of our family systems. And I love seeing the switch in the dynamic from growing up to where fathers weren't as involved. And now, some time later, some decades have passed and fathers are more engaged, they're more involved, and studies are really showing the importance of their impact. So welcome. And now I pass it over to Faith. Faith?
Let's move over to Alexis. She might have some technical difficulties.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexis Pratt. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist. I hope you all enjoyed today's webinar, and I'll pass it off to Kayari.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kayari Tyler. I am the virtual learning content developer. Just started here over on the family engagement team. And father engagement means a lot as far as with my family. Me and my partner go back and forth at length over what role fathers play over in the community, and we've definitely noticed a bit of a disparity as far as with what services and stuff are available and trying to navigate through that. So it's definitely been a new and very educational experience.
So the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub, we are a centralized engagement and family information center. We provide information for educators, families, and community partners around family engagement. We do all of this by providing tools and strategies through our in-person workshops and our online webinar series, such as the series today. We're trying to build collaborations and build bridges between these three audiences to work together for the benefit of our students to succeed. Ultimately, we want to bring our youth into the conversation because we want to empower them to use their voice to let us know what they need to be successful, not only in school, but out of school. And now I'll turn it over to Kim.
Thank you, Lanisha. So now we're going to talk a bit about SPAN. SPAN, which is our umbrella organization, is a parent center, and there is a parent center in every state. So we provide information, technical assistance, resources, and support for families. Yes, SPAN parent advocacy is about helping families advocate. It's about giving them empowerment. And of course, not just families, but we're also about informing and involving anyone, whether it's professionals or other stakeholders who are interested in the development and education of children, in order to enable everyone to engage, to become fully participating and contributing members of our communities. So certainly please visit our website, www.spanadvocacy.org. As you can see on the screen, we have many programs. This is just a small snippet. We've got over 45 programs, and yes, they include everything from early childhood, juvenile justice, health, mental health, leadership development, policy, youth. We are funded by government agencies, foundations, and we extend to over 40 national, regional, and local programs. So now I'm going to turn it over to Alexis.
Hey, walking to school, my son means a lot. It's an experience for me, because I never did a father and dad walk, but it's a lot, man. Keep me strong, keep me going.
We are honoring and celebrating this day, which is our annual Father's Walk. Was happy to start my day here and be joined with so many wonderful fathers and father figures of CMSD, and particularly fathers and father figures of our scholars here at Max Hayes.
So this is from the Cleveland Metropolitan School District Annual Fathers Walk. And that was just an example of ways in which we can engage fathers with our school districts. And certainly the impact of father engagement nationwide, there's a lot of research that shows that children with involved fathers have a stronger foundation for child well-being. And the strength of father presence, they have a much lower risk of a host of poor childhood outcomes, or ACERs, as they call it. Next slide, please. Having a dad at home really helps their academic achievement. And in addition, they are 33% less likely to repeat a grade. What about attendance? Well, when there is a father who is engaged at home, it can improve children's attendance and behavior. So higher levels of father engagement are linked to better attendance at school. And having that close relationship can also significantly impact their likelihood to go to college or to find stable employment after graduation. 75% are less likely to experience teen pregnancy, and a whopping 80% are less likely to be incarcerated. And these are life-changing outcomes. What about dropout rates? So this is huge. Students with engaged fathers are significantly less likely to drop out of school. In fact, data suggests that they are twice as likely to stay in school compared to children whose fathers are not as involved. So this really highlights that long-term protective factor that engaged fathers provide. So the evidence is clear. Active involvement, it's not just nice, it's actually crucial for children's academic success and overall well-being. In fact, next slide, beyond academics, there's also enhanced social emotional development. So when dads are involved, kids really shine in their social and emotional growth. They often show higher levels of being social, of being confident, of having good self-control. And they also tend to be better at solving problems and are more curious about the world around them. It's like their brains are just more engaged. In addition, there's improved mental well-being. Involvement has an impact on them. There's a lower chance of depression, lowered anxiety, and it helps our kids build greater resilience, meaning that they're better at bouncing back when they face challenges, and they learn how to cope more effectively. And then behavior. So it's not just about feelings, but it translates into better behavior. Kids with involved fathers tend to have fewer behavioral problems, both at school and at home. And they're also more likely to show what's called more pro-social behaviors. Things like kindness, empathy, helping others. They kind of learn to be better citizens. And then last but not least, a strong moral compass. And this is really important because fathers play a key role in developing children's moral compass and teaching them about being disciplined. And they help kids understand right from wrong and learn important life lessons. And now I'm going to pass it over to Lanisha for our discussion.
And now for our main event. Today, we're going to host our Father Side Chat. We're going to be joined by two panelists and a moderator. Our first panelist, Mr. Peter Burgos, serves as the youth coordinator at the Camden County Family Support Organization. In his role, he mentors young people and leads initiatives that promote emotional wellness and community engagement. Mr. Burgos also runs a family support group focused on responsible fatherhood and positive male role models, providing a safe space for fathers to connect and grow. In his work, he emphasizes peer support, mindfulness, and youth empowerment, reflecting on his deep commitment to strengthening families and communities in Camden County. Our second panelist, Mr. Doug Goulding, is a community leader in Paterson, New Jersey, and he's known for his work in supporting fathers and families. He serves as the lead facilitator and coordinator and community engagement specialist for GoFar, Fathers Initiative at New Destiny Family Success Center, where he mentors men and promotes fatherhood engagement. His work centers on empowering fathers and strengthening families and community connections. Lastly, we'll be joined by our moderator, Senator Benjie E Wimberly. Senator Wimberly is our state senator representing the 35th Legislative District. He is a lifelong Paterson resident. He has served as a teacher, a high school football coach, and the director of recreation for the city of Paterson. As a member of our legislature, he has co-sponsored a bill establishing the New Jersey Council on Responsible Fatherhood, which is aimed at promoting positive paternal involvement and supporting community-based fatherhood programs. But I'm sure if you talk to Senator Wimberly, his most important role is that of being a father to his 4 sons. And now we'll have our father side chat.
Well, good morning. I want to thank Dr. Lanisha Mako Ridley and the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub for invitation to moderate this morning's fatherhood panel. The one thing I can say is being a father is, my pride and joy, and now being a grandfather makes it even that much better. I am a father of 4 boys, all raised here in the city of Paterson. As Dr. Mako Ridley said, I grew up in the city of Paterson, came from public housing, youngest of 6. And my dad, unfortunately, passed away when I just turned 14 years old. And I had some great mentors in our community that made my life go in the right direction. And the one thing I would say, the most pride I had was when I became a father was to be totally engaged in everything that they did. So I've learned from one of my mentors, Henry Baker, who was the athletic director and basketball coach at Eastside High School, about cooking breakfast for your kids in the morning. I remember him telling me, he said he wanted to have that conversation because he knew he was going to have a long day. And then also taking his kids to school. And this is something that I learned from just a conversation. So as my boys came up and they're separated in age, the oldest is now 30, 25, 23, and 21, that I cooked breakfast for them in the morning because my wife is a 2nd grade teacher, so she usually left earlier. And I drove them to school. And the one thing I always gave was positive affirmations in our ride there. So every morning when we left, either if I walked them in or not, I end our conversation with telling them I love them. I love you. So they knew that they were loved going into school. And the one thing that I can say is being a kid of an old school father, my dad never told me he loved me. I knew he loved me, but they just didn't express it and say that to you. So I overly emphasize on a regular basis now as grown men they are. 3 of them are college graduates. One is a father himself, a grandfather, but they know at the end of every conversation, I let them know I love them. And I think it's made a difference in their lives. And listening to, the opening about how compassionate they are as men and how involved they've become, as far as our community and some of their academic success, I think comes from fathering. But so much for me. Let's get right into the questions. And this one could go to any of the panelists. Why do you believe fatherhood engagement is so crucial to a child's academic success? And any of the guys could take it.
Thank you, Senator. I want to first thank you for your promotion and your involvement at the state level when it comes to fatherhood. The reason I believe that it's so important is that fathers provide a boundary, a fence for their kids if if as human beings we don't have a boundary or a fence, as you shared about your kids, you were present, they saw you present, and they felt safe. So whenever a father is involved, the child feels safe. If a child feels safe, they'll excel academically. So father provides that fencing or safety for their child, and if the child feels safe, the sky's the limit. When a child does not feel safe, then it takes away from them performing the way that they were designed to. And father brings that component to the family, a component of safety. Father also brings a component of affirming a child. A father makes a child feels that I can accomplish anything. I can remember I'm a former tennis professional, and I played in college. I played on the pro circuit, and I look back and I realized that I had a late start in tennis, but the reason I excelled the way I did was that my dad affirmed me. My mom wasn't too much into me being into sports, but my dad affirmed me. And I can remember when I wanted to go on the tour and I had no money, and my mom was in opposition to that. My dad took me inside the room and he said, "Son, here's my credit card. Go, and when you get the money back, pay it back." Mm-hmm. So I couldn't fail because my dad was behind me to support me. I am the person I am today, as a educator, tennis professional, community engagement specialist, because of my dad.
Okay.
I excelled in school because of my dad.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Doc. Mr. Burgos?
Yeah, I'll answer. Probably not as well spoken as Mr. Goulding and stuff. Because I've been a youth coordinator for a long time. My dad was present, but not as present when it came to education or anything like that. He used to work a lot, and and there was times that he had other issues that prohibited him from being actually consistently present. So to answer the question, it's that was a goal of mine, that I wanted to be more present in my children's lives, especially with academics and stuff like that. I unfortunately still failed in a way because I was working too much, and now that they're teenagers, they're 18 and 19 and 27. I probably got those ages wrong too. But now they kind of say, like, I wish that you were a little bit more present, because mom was always around. She was the one that was kind of like, when I had to work, she was the one that was kind of carrying those things. And the times that I would be present, I would try to catch up and be with them, and missed out on a lot of, like, I was playing catch up. So to me, it just, it's important because we are the enforcers. So sometimes when mom is trying to kind of get them to get something done, and of course, whether I was here or not, I would still kind of get on the phone, or I would just kind of, like, when I got home, I would kind of follow up with them to enforce that, what needed to be done and stuff like that. My children, I have 3 children. They've kind of succeeded because of our consistency, because me and my wife have been together and just kind of always complimented each other. But I just feel that if I were here more, maybe they would have sought more further education. I think that because they saw me working all the time now, instead of pursuing further education, they want to work. They want to bring the money and kind of do those things at home. And maybe that could have changed if I were a little bit more present.
All right. Well, that was a great segue to the next question. The next question to our panelists: what are some common barriers fathers face when it comes to being involved in their children's education, and how can we overcome them? And Mr. Burgos, you hit it on the head. If you're working consistently, that becomes a barrier to come back and forth. I was a classroom teacher for 9 years, and I would say 80% of the parents that were involved were females, here in the city of Patterson. So one of the barriers, and Doug, you can pick up on this, is obviously is a work schedule, and particularly if you're working multiple jobs, which many of us have to do to pay mortgage, to put, car note, rent, everything else, to do. So Doug, do you want to answer that question? Something about
Yeah, thank you. I think one of the barriers is it's the cultural way that they look at the role of fathers. They, as my dear brother, Mr. Burgos said, we are expected to go out and get the bacon, and for the African American father, it's even a greater challenge, because there's that historical piece to it where the fathers were their role was diminished, and their presence was not deemed to be important. We go back into the 60s and the 70s where, mothers were basically incentivized to not have fathers in the home. So we have sent the message that they're not necessary. So there's that cultural, we've been informed, especially as Black fathers, that we don't matter. That's a big barrier. So one of the things I try to fight in my work is I am big on affirming Black fathers. And I don't make any apologies about it, because I know the history that has caused the barrier that they're dealing with. They don't feel qualified. They don't feel they don't see their importance. So I constantly remind them that they matter. I wear the shirt that says fathers matter. And I'm really speaking primarily, yes, every father's matter, but I'm primarily speaking to our Black father, because that barrier of the generational information that has come down through the years that we're not important, we don't matter, the systems try to reinforce that. That's a big barrier.
Yeah. And I just would add that a mother's support of the father when it comes to being involved in education is probably, so much important. My wife's a second grade school teacher, so a majority of the school stuff day to day, she would be the person that handled it. But when I had to, intercede, she always supported, and like I said, to this day, I wouldn't be able to help them probably with trigonometry or anything like that. But to reinforce them the importance of getting this stuff done, and their mom being involved, or tutors or whatever being involved, was really important. Mr. Burgos, I'm going this question for you. How do fathers' roles in a child's education differ from a mother's? And I know you touched upon that a little bit. And how can we better understand and leverage those differences? How can we kind of even the playing field when it comes to mother and fathers when it comes to education?
Right. The way I would best answer that is that just our culture, right? Our culture can play a factor in that a lot. Sometimes I'll use myself as an example with me and my wife. I think we're very cohesive, but I was prior to me being in a marriage, I was in a former relationship, and our culture was very different. So she would be more like the boss of the house, and I would kind of take a side seat, kind of like a back seat. Like, only when I need you is when I kind of you can interject and stuff like that. With this, with my two younger children, we've had a chance to kind of balance how we kind of co-parent. So in other words, there's times that she has to go do we call it divide and conquer, right? So there's times that she has to do things, so I would cover either the food and just kind of learning what the other person is doing. So whether I'm cooking and she can't cook because she's doing something else, I'll cook, I'll do that stuff. She needs help cleaning, so I would kind of collaborate and help do those things, and then showing our children the importance of that partnership, male and female. Me and my wife, we both could facilitate a youth organization. So throughout the years, I was the one that was actually working with the teens and the youth, and she would be working behind the scenes supporting me. Now, within our organization, she was hired because she's been doing all this extensive work voluntarily, and now everyone can see her front line, just as me, doing the same thing. So just always being able to share the responsibility, learning what the other person is doing, and actually taking a risk and learning how to do those things and stuff. I think that's been really effective within my life.
And Mr. Burgos, I will add, I think you hit an important part about the roles. In many of our societies and cultures, we have roles for women, we have roles for men. And I think the one thing that I can say as a father is my kids understand that they know how to wash clothes, and they know how to cook basic meals. And I think we're doing a disservice to our kids when they, go on to a marriage or they go on to other relationships and they expect a woman to do all the cooking, all the homework, all the laundry, So the roles, like you said, the traditional things, I think these are something that we have to definitely get away from to make our young men stronger. Doug, would you like to add something on to that?
Yes, I just want to cite a research by the University of Leeds in the UK that talked about the title of the research was Young Children Do Better at School If Their Dads Read and Play with Them. And, it really, this conversation that we're having, it's really, I'm tempted to tear up because I didn't appreciate my father until he was no longer here. And now that I have the privilege of serving the city of Paterson, but one of my ways I serve the city of Paterson is through being a tennis instructor through the recreation department. I'm actually starting a dad-child's tennis clinic because I had some kids on the court. It blew my mind. I almost cried. I had some kids on the court just last week, and I invited the parents to come on court and the fathers to come on court. And I was showing them how to work with their kids. And I saw a daughter and a father interacting and bonding, and it almost brought tears to my eyes. Just that simple little thing, having that father toss balls to his daughter. Mm-hmm. There was something taking place. And although he did not reside in the home with the daughter, the mom brought her and he came. I know that little girl's life is going to change forever because, as the research says, when fathers play with their children, we don't realize what we're unleashing in their brains. Just having an activity with them, so it is so important for that. They talk about the father reading to the child, but they also emphasize the father playing with the child. Mm-hmm. That was huge in the research.
And it is important when kids, being an educator and a coach for many years, when that father's around, as a volunteer coach, as a booster parent, you see the difference in the child. So that, Doug, that's a great point. Mr. Burgos, next question for you, okay? In what ways can fathers support not just homework, but also development of good study habits, time management, and other skills that lead to academic success? As far as the overall structure, how can fathers contribute to that?
I had said this before I started this meeting. I'm not gonna be really good with the educational part.
Let's focus on the structure, like on the structure.
Structure, definitely.
So if your work ethic is, you could translate work ethic to anything, academics, athletics, whatever it may be. So how do you think structure as the father's role plays in it?
So again, I just going by my life experiences and with my children and stuff like that, just balancing time, as Mr. Goulding was saying, for not just reading but playing, right? So I would definitely echo, like, making it almost like a fun thing, because with a lot of children, they stress, they struggle, with their education and stuff. So the way that I've done it is that, I do include recreation, so we're gonna go do this. So like with my son, we're gonna go play some basketball, kind of get ourselves a little bit tired and having fun and enjoying ourselves together. But then when we come back, we got to go to work. I said, and I've always said that, like, everything that I've done in my life has not come without, me working hard. So if I'm playing hard, that means that I show that I work hard. But when I do get a chance to play, I play hard. So whether it's with my family, by myself, with friends, with others, I think it's really, really always important to kind of not just make it just work. And that's what, in many ways, as I was saying in the beginning, that's what my kids used to see me. Like, I worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and just to provide, like they say today, the bread for the home and stuff like that. So as now that they're teens, and I didn't get to miss out on that teen part, I got a chance to kind of reset, and do less work and do more things with them. And that includes the play. That includes us learning how to, how to work and how to get a job and doing things like that. All the things that I do with my youth group, I was doing a lot with my youth group, and my children were also getting lost because they were like, all right, now you're their dad and they get more time than we are getting. So just being able to balance, those things that, I wasn't really taught by my father. These things, I was taught by my mom, and my mom was the one that showed me how to be a man. And then I was involved in organizations that were mainly women, so the one thing that I wanted to do as a leader was become a male figure and a male model in Camden City, in Camden County. And I think I've fulfilled many of that in many ways. So at the same time, I kind of missed some stuff at home. So now I'm trying to turn that all around. Like, I've done all this work here, so I kind of already gained my place with the community. Now I have to really now earn my place at home.
I think, Mr. Burgos, that's fine, because the structure, when they see the work ethic of you as the dad, that translates into homework and stuff. So, Doug, I know you're a tennis instructor. So you look at, not just supporting homework, the overall structure is so important when it comes to our young folks of being successful. You'd like to add something on to that?
Yeah. So one of the things that I help the fathers with so that they can help their kids, I'm holding in my hand here, we do affirmation circles with the fathers, because, see, as Mr. Burgos says, he was basically saying, if you didn't get it, you can't pass it on. But it's never too late for you to get it.
Yep.
Once there's life, there's hope. And so I encourage fathers through in our affirmation circle, because if you affirm the child will excel academically. If the child, as you said, Benjie, when you were with your boys, you did words of affirmation before they left the car, or when you walked them to school, you told them you loved them.
Yeah.
So on this page, we have 101 affirmations that we go through with the fathers, and we do it with the kids as well. So in my home, I actually paid my kids to memorize affirmations. That was an incentive I gave them, because I know if they thought positively about themselves, then we'd get positive behavior and positive results. It's not complicated. If we never got it, we can't pass it on. But it's never too late for us to get it. And as Mr. Burgos, I'm now an extension mode, because my kids are grown. My youngest is 26 he's out of the home. My oldest, and I'm a grandfather like Benjie, only have one 6-year-old grandson. My kids are out of the home. Now I'm being a father figure to kids in the community. And I enjoy helping fathers realizing that they are more than society say that they are.
Right.
So I constantly affirm our fathers and affirm our kids because that's the secret to academic success.
Yeah, and both outstanding responses. And our last question is an important one in our community where we've already talked about, most of our households be headed by not just mothers, but grandmothers in many cases that I deal with over the years of, 37 years working professionally here in the city of Patterson. For fathers who may not be in the same household as their children, what strategies can they use to remain actively involved in their child's academic life? So, unfortunately, we know society says 50% divorce rate and, higher rates of people, single moms and grandmoms raising them. How, if you're not in that household, would you recommend them to get involved in their child's academic life?
I'll go because I've had that experience because I have an older child that's not from my marriage now. So I'll tell you guys real quickly. I showed her how I was going to be present no matter what. So when I had her, I didn't have a car, didn't have means of transportation. Mom moved kind of a few towns away. I used to ride a bus, the Paco train system, ride a bike. I will walk. Whenever it was my time to be with her, I made sure that I was there. So, of course, she couldn't do homework at mom's house, so she had to do it with me. So those were the times that I actually took to show her, that that I know that there's a lot of statistics with dads not being always involved, but that no matter what, the only person that would ever stop me from being there with her would be God. And I always used to tell her, even God would be, me and him, we would be having a little argument because if I want to be there, he's going to have to help me make a way there. So that's just the way that my mentality has always been, that I wanted to be a great father, that I wanted to be, no matter that I wasn't with, my daughter's mom, that I still wanted to show her that there was no limitations to my love, as Mr. Goulding was saying, and you too, Mr. Benjie, that it was no limits to me getting to her, being with her, and showing her all the skills that I've learned in my teen life, and just being present and being involved and being consistent and not making excuses, always giving reasons, and just always loving her. From even when I wasn't there, she always can kind of ponder and relate. Like, she shares the stories all the time. Like, my dad would he I can't say that my dad wasn't there, because he did everything. In the snow, in the rain.
Yeah, and
everything.
Burgos, it's emotional, but you're hitting what is so important. I mean, your presence.
I would do it again. I would do it again. I would do it again. Over and over and over. No matter what, I would do that again. I would relive that. That was a very, very, very important part of my life, because it showed how much I promised, I made a goal, and I did whatever I needed to do for my children. So yeah, I would do it. I would do that all over again if I could.
No, great job. And you like to, add to that as far as, fathers who are not in the household, how can they play a role in their child's academics?
Well, I was one of those fathers. My first marriage ended in a divorce, and my ex-wife had custody of our children, and we had a schedule. And for me, I think I interacted with them more when I was divorced than I did when I was married, because I took the opportunity to show up at school. I was my kids my kids knew that I was a part of the carpooling. I made myself a part of the carpooling, where I carpool their friends. My kids felt confident because daddy was around. So when I had them every Thursday and every other weekend, I would be there. Nothing stood in that way. I showed up. I would be involved in their stuff at school. And on the second time around, I eventually gained custody of my children. And they went to a boarding school out in Pennsylvania, African American boarding school, and it was 2 hours away. But anything that happened, at a drop of a hat, I would jump in my car, and when the teachers know that you are a parent or you're a father that will show up, somehow they have somehow they take a special interest in your kid. They will go the distance. They will call you more because they know that you're an involved parent. So for me, I have been there. Thank God he's given me a wonderful wife and bonus mom to my kids. But my kids are grown; they're doing well. As someone said to me the other day, how are your kids? And I said, well, my youngest son is kind of struggling. He said, yeah. He said, well, if they're not on drugs, if they're not in jail, you're a very good father. So my son lives in Atlanta and he's trying to figure it out. But my two daughters, the older ones, 32 and 30, they got it together. Girls tend to mature faster than boys do and all that good stuff. But one of the things that happened just this past Sunday, Mr. Senator, Mr. Burgess, one of the things that happened just this past Sunday, my daughter who lives in Queens, she called me up and she said, Daddy, I'm getting some girls together. Could you come over and teach us some tennis Sunday morning? I packed that car up, brother. You don't have to ask me twice. So she said, Daddy, I'm supposed to have 6, 7 girls there. I don't know how many will show up. I said, baby, any opportunity I get to spend with you, it's good. I'm saying it's not about the friends. You're inviting me. You're taking time for me to come and help you bond with some girls in the city. Daddy will be there. One of the greatest honors for me is to be called a father. Father's Day's coming up on Sunday, and my daughter says, Daddy, I'm coming over to take you out to eat. We're gonna do lunch or dinner. It just does my heart good. Everything I've given, every sacrifice I've made has paid me back tenfold. And I just want to continue doing that, although my kids are out. The opportunity I get in the city of Paterson to love on some other kids who don't have a father in the home. Because as the senator said, I think it's about 65, 70% of our African-American homes are without a father in the home. I want to be that +1 dad for the kids in the city of Paterson.
Well, Doug, Peter, you guys really were great today. And just to add, I don't think there's anything better than being present with a T. And instead of just, child support or bicycles or sneakers or things of that nature. And I think as a father, I'll close with saying, I had my first Father's Day last year as a grandfather. And I got up 5:30 in the morning to drive to Richmond, Virginia to spend with my grandson and 3 of my sons who were in Virginia, 2 in college and 1 working. And somebody said to me, you got up at 5:30 in the morning just to get to Virginia? I said, yeah, because I wanted that first Father's Day to be with them. And believe me, the one thing I emphasize not only to my kids and to the kids that I've coached, young man and woman, is, they understand who you are, because at the end of the day, character and who you are as a father is what you do when nobody's watching, when nobody's looking at you. That's the key. So this has been a great discussion. Peter, Doug, I feel like we've known each other for 50 years. Doug, obviously I know you. Thanks for being vulnerable and sharing such valuable insight and being so sincere and genuine. And I think that makes a difference in being a good father. So, Dr. Mako Ridley and New Jersey Family Engagement Hub, thank you for giving me this opportunity to moderate today's panel. I want to thank the dads for being dads. So thank you guys and have a great day. God bless.
Thank you,
Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Burgos. Thank you, Mr. Goulding, and Senator Wimberly. You know I love you. Thank you so much for doing this for me. And you guys have a great rest of your day.
All right. Have a great one. God bless.
So let's talk now a little bit about how to increase father engagement. We heard a lot from our father side chat panelists and moderator, but let's talk a little bit about how families can include the father more in our student success. So actively encourage and invite fathers to participate with your children. Share information proactively. So always keep them in the loop. I know I try to send out calendar invites and things of that nature to, my son's father figures so that they know what's going on in his life and any programs that he has coming up. Support their involvement, even if it means, working through a scheduling conflict or sending a reminder text or giving a phone call. Support their involvement. Even if that means too, you might have to stay back so that the father or the father figure steps forward. Value their contributions. Always make sure that, just like Mr. Burgos talked about and Mr. Goulding talked about, positive affirmations, positively affirm their contributions to the lives of your children. Co-parenting collaboration. I think Mr. Burgos talked about it best. He said that him and his wife share responsibilities in the household. And I think that's so important. I'm one who, when my husband was alive, he did all the cooking because I can't cook anything. And so, we were teaching our stepchildren how to make sure that no role is set in stone. Women are not just the cooks and the cleaners that also, go out and do other things, and that the dads can cook and clean as well. So co-parent collaboratively and respect the different styles of engagement. I'm, quiet, and my husband was really like loud and boisterous. So we had to respect how we engage because we engage differently. So we need to our children that, we're all different, but it doesn't matter how different we are. We all bring a contribution. In terms of our schools and our educators, inclusive language. You're sending home notes and, flyers. Make sure that the language you are using and have a big representation of all families. Personalize your invitations. Make sure that your invitations are directed to the names of your children's parents and the names of your children. Be flexible in your scheduling. I think Mr. Burgos talked about it well. He said that he worked 2 or 3 jobs, and so he couldn't always come in to the classroom. So maybe not have events, always 9:00 in the morning or 8:30. You might also want to think about having early afternoon or in the evening, because you do have parents who work 3rd shift or 2nd shift or 1st shift. You want to make sure that your schedule for events is flexible and inclusive. Dedicate initiatives for fathers. We saw it in the video at the beginning of this webinar, the father walk. That was amazing. And events, initiatives such as that to bring out our fathers and bring them into one setting so our children can see them and appreciate them, highlight them, was amazing. So we need to do more events like that. Positively frame the role of fathers in the lives of our children. Fathers bring value. And Kim talked about it. Mr. Burgos, our panelists, talked about how amazing it is to have fathers in the lives of our children and the positive contributions that come from that. Homeschool connection activities. So send home projects that have both things to do for moms and dads and kids so that everyone in the family is involved in the project. And then our mentoring programs. Try to get your children involved in mentoring programs, especially if you do not have a father or father figure in the home. Please try to get, recommend mentoring programs for the children in your class or in your school that they can participate in. Our community-based organizations have developed fatherhood programs and partner with your schools. Senator Wimberly runs the Division of Recreation for the city of Paterson, and he has tons of programs where our fathers are connected through our community-based organizations and our schools. If you don't have a mentoring program as a community-based organization, start one. Host father-focused events. So host events where, like the Father Walk, or Mr. Goulding talked about how he had tennis, and he's starting a father-daughter or father-child tennis clinic. Conduct outreach and awareness campaigns about the roles of fathers and how they're important to the lives of our children, and advocate for dads. Develop culturally relevant programs within your community-based organizations. Because as Mr. Burgos said, different cultures respond differently to fatherhood and fatherhood involvement. And lastly, our youth. Talk to your dad. Share the good things about what's going on in your life and the not so good things. I was a daddy's girl. I miss my father to this day. So I always spent time talking to him and telling him about the things that happened throughout my day. Tell your dad that they matter. Ask them to help you with your homework. Ask them to help you with projects. Sometimes they don't know how to ask you if you need help, but you can ask them. Utilize the men in your life and seek male role models if you do not have a father figure. If you don't have a father or father figure, you can always go ask someone to hook you up with a mentor or suggest a mentorship program for you. Look at your community leaders and be open to different kinds of support within your community. Next slide. So to find out more about the roles of fathers in our community and in our education, we have developed this checklist for fatherhood engagement. You will have access to this checklist once you fill out the survey after today's webinar, but the checklist is divided by early childhood and elementary school, which is pre-K to 5, middle school, which we say is grades 6 through 8, and then high school, grades 9 to 12. And to utilize this checklist in your school and in your community. And now I will turn it over to Jeanette.
Thank you, Anisha. I have to tell you, not to be biased, but this probably has to be one of my favorite webinar offerings this year. What a dynamic panelist. I'm just in awe of all such great information. So we're going to wrap things up. We're going to highlight some couple of great upcoming events, and some of them are specific to dads. And so we want to highlight this upcoming virtual summit. And it is a powerful half-day conversation because we understand that family-centered healthcare starts with everyone at the table. And so this virtual summit talks about the role of fathers and partners in maternal and infant health equity. And we, as we heard today, fathers and partners play a critical role, but yet oftentimes they are overlooked especially in that role in the maternal infant health space. So this summer is all about spotlighting those contributions, the contributions of the dads, exploring groundbreaking policies and state-led initiatives. So if you have an opportunity, it's at no cost. Please register. And then there's another upcoming virtual webinar, Fatherhood Reimagined. That's coming up on Thursday from 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, the focus is parenting through change, challenge, and healing, but it is solely for dads. And as you can see, the hub is keeping very busy. We have some offerings. We have an offering this evening, Restorative Practice in School Climate, which will be this evening at 6 o'clock, hosted by Patterson Education Fund and co-hosted by the hub. And then we have Student Success and Wellbeing on June 16th. Again, these are all evening webinars from 6 to 7. And then lastly, we will not have a webinar next month, but please save the date and join us in August 12th, where we're going to highlight Building Strong Family School Partnerships. That's really going to be a good one. So we hope that you register for that upcoming webinar. As you know, we have our upcoming SPAN Leadership, Parent Leadership Advocacy Conference. Please save the date for September 27th. Registration is open. And for those of you who are curious, whether you're a parent, an educator, a community-based organization, a partner in the community, working with families, if you're curious about the hub, our offerings, what we do, how we can partner together, please join myself and Dr. Lanisha Mako Ridley in our upcoming listening sessions, which is June 17th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and once again in August 19th from 1 to 2 p.m. It's an informational session, so but it's a conversation. So you're not just listening to myself and Lanisha, but really being part of that conversation, how we can partner. And then we have our Family Math Community of Practice, which is going to be launching in September. So it's 4 weeks, 4 weekly virtual sessions from 3:30 to 5 p.m. And it'll kick off September 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. We hope that you join us and so we can continue learning and understanding that we are a math person. And then lastly, I want to highlight and spend about 1 minute to talk about the advisory committee at the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub. We believe that parents are the heart, and they always have been, of meaningful change. And that's why we're inviting you to join our advisory committee, a space where parents can share insights, help shape initiatives, and advocate for stronger family school partnerships. So by joining, you have a chance to make an impact on policies and programs that support families, collaborate with other engaged parents and education leaders, and bring your lived experiences to the conversation to create real solutions. We are looking and in need of your voice, your perspective, and your expertise, so we can continue building an inclusive, effective strategies for family engagement. So if you are interested, please visit our website at the hub and contact us. We hope that you join us. This concludes a portion of our Father Side chat and our webinar. We hope that you found extreme value in what we offered today. Thank you for participating. We invite you to scan the QR code and take a moment to complete our short survey. If you require a certificate of participation by attending our webinar, just choose yes, and Alexis will get that out to you after you complete the survey. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us. Wishing you a great week and a great summer, and we'll see you back here in August for our next webinar offering. Thank you.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood